Hey guys, Sean here. So today was all about going to Comikaze, or as it's known nowadays, Stan Lee's LA Comic Convention. It was Comikaze when it was kind of run by both Stan Lee and Elvira, but then I guess Elvira dropped out of it and now it's purely all Stan Lee, so it's Stan Lee's Los Angeles Comic Convention, but I prefer the name Comikaze. As for right now, I am at the local salon in North Hollywood to get something done with this, because, oh, it's so out of control. So let's go ahead and see how my day at Comikaze went.
I'm currently headed to the Los Angeles Convention Center. It is 11:26 in the morning, which is actually much later than I should be heading to the convention center. I'm sure that the on-site parking is probably completely full by now, and the line to get in will most likely be 2 hours. That's how it was last year anyway. So we will see what happens, how far away I'm going to have to park, and how long the line to get in is. Let's go to it.
So I ended up parking at LA Live, which ended up being a really great move because, well, it was close, there was a lot of parking spaces. I think it will end up being $30 though, all said and done. So that's not as good of a thing, but whatever. And then Bad Pickup was like light years ahead of last year. Last year it took me 2 hours to get my badge. This year it was like 10 minutes. So let's go ahead, go on in, see what we can do, see what we can find, see who we can meet, see 3PO, I guess? I don't know. I'm waiting in line to see what autograph or photograph sessions I can get into. So we'll see if any are available that I want to get into. So I got the photo op that I wanted, which is that sound that you hear. That's well, that's this. Yes, that is in fact Drew Carey. So I ended up getting the photo op that I wanted, and this is going to be a good companion for the Elvira picture that I have, because this is the other person from the Groundlings in those days who became known for a character more than for their actual self. So it's currently 1:55. I have to be back at the photo booth at 3:45 in order to line up for the photo op. So basically, I walked all the way to the other end of the hall, and then I will slowly make my way back to the photo op area. So much like Long Beach Comic Con, they have a bunch of pop culture vehicles, except here they have them inside instead of outside. So let's go down the line here and take a look at what they have. So here we have a Fiat from Cars, I guess. For some reason there's a dog in it, and then a rat, I'm guessing. That's supposed to be Remy in the back. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Cars. Here we have a Bumblebee. Here we have a Pizza Planet delivery truck. There's a Star Wars inspired car that is not Obi-Wan. Of course, as always, a Jurassic Park Jeep. Here is what I believe is the Green Hornet mobile. Let's take a look on the other side. Yeah, it looks very much like the Green Hornet mobile. Herbie the Love Bug. Magnum PI's Ferrari. And last we have a Trans Am, but it's not just any Trans Am. So yeah, overall, they have much better cars here than at Long Beach Comic Con. So let's quickly talk about cosplays I'm seeing around here. I am, of course, seeing a lot of Deadpools, a lot of Harley Quinns, a lot of those inflatable Tyrannosaurus costumes. In fact, I'm currently staring at an inflatable Tyrannosaurus Deadpool costume. And I'm seeing a lot of Pennywises from It this year. And then the thing that's most surprising that I'm seeing a lot of is the curly-haired kid from Stranger Things. I'm seeing a lot of those around here, too. Oh, and of course I've seen like 4 or 5 Waldos. I can't believe people still dress up like Waldo and come to these things. But of course the thing I'm noticing the most is the severe lack of Gwenpool cosplays. Where are the Gwenpools?
Treat for you. I want you to see The Rock.
she's so short. I see you. I see you. This is my very first time at LA Comic-Con, and I gotta tell you right now, I'm fired up. Yes, finally, The Rock. You're right, we gotta do that. Come on, it's LA, it's Comic-Con. We gotta do that. All right, here we go. See, I have to turn this way every time I do it. Finally, The Rock has come back to Comic-Con! All right, well.
Alright, there you have it, Comikaze 2017. First and foremost, here's the results of the haircut. It is actually 5 days later, but as you can see, much more manageable than it was before. So as you'll notice, I haven't actually talked about meeting anyone yet, so let's go ahead and do that now. First off, I met Phil Lamarr. Now, Phil Lamarr is one of the original cast members on Mad TV, and in my opinion, the best cast of Mad TV that there ever was, which I proceeded to tell him. Yes, there have been many funny people on Mad TV since the original cast, but the way that they just kept using the same characters every single week, over and over and over and over, it just really defeated the purpose of the show. Yes, that's kind of more on the writers and the producers of the show, and not so much the cast, but I have a feeling that the fact that they didn't rely on that so much with the original cast kind of proves my point. But I digress. The main reason that Phil Lamarr was at Comikaze is because he has had a very prolific voice acting career since being on Mad TV. He's been the Green Lantern on Justice League, he's been Samurai Jack, he's been Bail Organa on Star Wars The Clone Wars, he's just done so many things. In fact, as I told him, his voice is so prevalent that when I'm reading comic books, if there is a African-American gentleman who is, you know, like 30 or above, the default voice that I hear in my head is his voice. Now, I don't necessarily know if that is a statement on, like, how prolific of a voice actor he is, or just how few African-American male voice actors there are. Because in all honesty, I can only name, like, maybe 6 or 7. But that's kind of the beauty of voice acting, is that you don't necessarily have to play the race that you are, because as I said, he does the voice of Samurai Jack. I would have gotten an autograph from him, but I had kind of run out of cash by that point, so, you know, a nice handshake and I like what you do pretty much sufficed. Another voice actor that I met was E.G. Daily. Now, she has been a very prolific voice actor for like the last 20 years or so. Some of the notable voices she's done is she was the voice of Babe in Babe Pig in the City, she was the voice of Buttercup on the Powerpuff Girls, and she was the voice of Tommy, the main character of Rugrats. She's also done a lot of on-camera acting as well, including an episode of Friends where she played Phoebe's old partner who ends up coming back into her life and then stealing Smelly Cat from her and selling it to a cat litter company. But most notably, she played the character Dottie in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, who was essentially the love interest of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I mean, really the love interest of Pee-wee's Big Adventure is his bike, but the de facto love interest is Dottie. I also ended up taking a selfie with her, which she ended up taking with my phone because she was so much more practiced with taking selfies than I am. And then the last person that I met was also in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and that's who I waited in the long line to meet, and that was Paul Reubens. He played Pee-wee in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So because of the way that these big professional photo ops work, you literally only have like 10 seconds of FaceTime with the individual. That's how they're able to get through like 350 people in an hour. So basically, I told him it was an honor to meet him. We ended up taking this picture where he looks just amazing and I look like Jim from Taxi. And then as I was gathering my stuff, I said, by the way, I really loved you as the host of You Don't Know Jack. Now, You Don't Know Jack is a trivia video game that has been around for years and years and years. And in like the early 2000s, they made a primetime game show out of it that I think only lasted 1 episode. And the host of the show was Paul Reubens, but he wasn't playing Paul Reubens, he was playing a character. And he wasn't playing Pee Wee Herman, but he was playing some other character. I can't remember the name of the character. It was Troy Stevens, and apparently it lasted 6 episodes. But yeah, he was so funny as the host of that show, and he was easily the best part of it. And I should actually look up on YouTube if someone has uploaded it to YouTube. And if they did, I'll link to it down below in the doobly-doo. But yeah, I told him that I loved him as the host of that show, and his face lit up, and he slapped me on the back, and he's like, "You and like 3 other people." So that was nice. I felt like I made his day a little bit. But yeah, that was like a big deal for me because when I was a kid, I loved Pee Wee Herman. When I was in the 1st grade, I had a Pee Wee Herman watch, and it was basically just like his head, and you'd open it up and it stuck out really far. Here's a picture of what it looked like. I'm sure I could find one on Google if I Google it. And I've seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure like at least 20 times in my lifetime. I could probably quote it word for word if I were to watch it today. And every Saturday morning, I watched Pee-wee's Playhouse like religiously. So this was a really great thing for my inner child. And as I said earlier, I really like that I have now gotten my picture with 2 former Groundlings who were in the Groundlings at the same time and became so well known, not as Cassandra Peterson and Paul Reubens, but as Elvira and Pee Wee Herman. Because in the entire history of the Groundlings, they're like the only 2 who have done that, who became well known for characters that they created in the Groundlings and not so much for themselves, and became like super wealthy because of it. And in all honesty, because of those characters, they are probably the most well-known graduates of the Groundlings, even though people don't realize that they were Groundlings. That is assuming that people even know who the Groundlings are. The Groundlings are one of the 3 most famous improv groups in the United States. They are based in Los Angeles, and then there is Second City, which is based in Chicago, and then there is Upright Citizens Brigade, which was based in New York, and I'm sure they still have a theater in New York, but now they are more based out of LA as well. So that's it for Comikaze. So what does that mean? We need to close out the Who Did I Meet at Conventions in 2017 board. So let's go ahead and add the 3 new people to it. So yeah, there you have it. Between those 6 conventions, that's a lot of people that I got to meet. Yes, Long Beach Comic-Con was a goose egg, and I only ran into Brizzy at 2 of the 6, but overall, it's a pretty good year. So what is next year gonna hold? Well, I've got some good news. I have been approved for 2 major things next year. Number 1, I was able to get a free pass to WonderCon for next year. How was I able to do that? Well, I sent them my industry credentials and they approved it. So as awesome as it is that I am able to get into WonderCon with industry credentials for free, that's not the biggest part. The biggest part is that with those industry credentials, I am able to get an industry badge to San Diego Comic-Con. And if you don't know, San Diego Comic-Con is the biggest comic convention in the United States, if not the world. This is where all the studios make their big announcements every year. This is where all the celebrities go down and schmooze in front of the nerds because they want their money, even though they don't necessarily respect the nerds, but they know that they have to because that's where their money is coming from. I'm looking at you, Harrison Ford. And this is something that in my 10 years of living in California, I have never been able to go to because as soon as the tickets go on sale, they're sold out instantly. Like, you have to be sitting at your computer and refreshing and just praying that you get a ticket. But that's not the case with the industry badges. With industry badges, I've heard that you're able to order up to like a week before and still get one. So then that means that I am guaranteed to be going to San Diego Comic-Con next year. And I couldn't be more excited. Don't get me wrong, I am terrified of it because from what I've seen, it is so ridiculously full and just full-on anxiety-inducing. But I want to at least go to it once. So next year there will be 7 conventions on the board, and who knows, maybe more. Maybe I'll go to Scare LA again. Maybe I'll go to the Power Rangers convention that seems to come into town every now and then. Maybe I'll go to Monsterpalooza. Heck, maybe I'll go to HempCon. I don't know why I would go there, because I don't smoke weed and I have zero desire to smoke weed, but it's a convention. Don't worry, Mother, I'm not gonna go to HempCon. So if all of that sounds interesting to you, then hey, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you liked this video, go ahead and hit the like button. See, I kind of switched that up this week because I wanted to say the subscribe button first, and then, anyway, yeah. Like, subscribe, and if you want to help support the craziness that goes on around here, go ahead and hit up my Patreon. And with that, have a good however long it is until you watch my next video.